Hey guys, welcome to the first video of my law school series. I am so excited to start sharing these videos with you guys because law is one of the things I am most passionate about. When I started going through the law school application process about 2 years ago now, I didn't have many recent law students or graduates to ask questions to, so YouTube and Google were my best friends. Since I've gotten a lot of questions about my experience recently, I wanted to put everything into a video series to answer all your questions and hopefully help in any way I can. The whole application process can seem a little bit daunting at the beginning, but hopefully by taking you step by step through my whole experience, it can seem a little bit more manageable for you guys and maybe even inspire you to consider law school. The first step in applying to law school is thinking about the LSAT. In this video, I will be answering 7 frequently asked questions I've gotten about the LSAT. So let's dive right in. So what is the LSAT? The LSAT is a standardized test that is required to apply to law school in Canada, the US, and some schools in Australia. You do not need to write the LSAT to apply to law school in England and most European countries. Let's talk about the breakdown. The LSAT has 6 sections, each 35 minutes long and all multiple choice. There is 1 analytical reasoning section, also known as logic games, 2 logical reasoning sections, 1 reading comprehension section, and an experimental section. It is unmarked and it can be any one of those section types. This experimental section is used to test future LSAT questions and it is not counted towards your score. Finally, there is a writing sample section at the very end of the exam that is also unscored, but it is sent to law school so they can get an idea of your writing style. Now, there is some debate about whether the performance on this section is really important in the admissions process, but we'll get into that in a future video. It's also important to know that you can't fail the LSAT. The LSAT has a total of 100 to 101 questions. Based on how many questions you answer correctly out of the total number of questions, you will get a raw score. This raw score is then translated onto the LSAT score, which goes from 120 to 180. 120 being the lowest possible score and 180 being the highest. On that scale, there is no cutoff for passing or failing the exam. You just want to score as high as possible to make your application as competitive as it can be for law schools. Generally, a score of 160 and above is considered very competitive, but many people do get into law schools with scores lower than that. Since the LSAT is just one of the factors on your application, a higher GPA can offset a lower LSAT score. Number 2. What is the difference between LSAC and LSAT? LSAC stands for Law School Admissions Council, and LSAT is the Law School Admissions Test. LSAC is the organization that administers the LSAT. When you are registering for the LSAT, you will go on lsac.org, create an account, and there you will be able to see future LSAT dates and register for the exam. Essentially, LSAC is a service provider for students applying to law school and for law schools to retrieve student LSAT scores. In the US, students apply to law school through the LSAC website, and schools can access their LSAT score and application all in one place. However, in Canada, we use LSAC just to administer the LSAT and send our scores to law schools. When we apply to law school, we apply in Ontario through a portal called LSAC, and outside of Ontario, we apply to law schools directly to the schools. I will get more into the application process in the applying to law school video. Number 3, is the LSAT a law exam? The LSAT does not test any legal knowledge. Contrary to popular belief, you do not need a background in legal studies, political science, criminology, or any of those topics to take the LSAT or do well on it. So you can come from any type of degree, including arts, business, science, and take the LSAT and apply to law school. Number 4. So if the LSAT is not a law exam, what does the LSAT test? The LSAT uses 3 different types of questioning to measure your skills in critical reasoning, verbal reasoning, and analytical thinking. These question types are more commonly known by their LSAT sections, which I'll put on the screen for you guys to reference. We will discuss these 3 types of questions in a future LSAT video. How many times can you write the LSAT? The LSAT is administered several times a year, especially now that they've switched to a digital format. You can only write the LSAT 3 times a year and no more than a total of 5 times in 5 years. Also, you can only write the LSAT a maximum of 7 times in your lifetime. It's important to note that your LSAT score is only valid to apply to law school for a duration of 5 years. After that, your score will expire. So let's say you wrote the LSAT in 2015. That means that 2020 is the last year you can use that score to apply to law school. It's good to give yourself enough time to retake the exam, but make sure your score would not expire before you plan on applying to law school. Number 6, is it bad to write the LSAT multiple times? Most people take the LSAT more than once. Some people write it once, hit their goal score, and never take it again. And others take the exam a few times before they're comfortable applying with their score. Most law schools in Canada only take your highest score for consideration on your application, but LSAC does send all your scores for law schools to see. I personally took the LSAT 3 times, and I'll be sharing my full LSAT experience in a future video as well. How long do you need to study for the LSAT? Most resources suggest that you spend 3 to 6 months studying for the LSAT. The LSAT is not a knowledge-based exam, it is a skills-based exam. In other words, the LSAT does not test a bunch of knowledge and facts that you can memorize and just write down on the exam. Instead, it tests how you apply certain reasoning skills to a new topic that you haven't seen before. So, you need time to accumulate the skills that it takes to do well on the exam, so that you can recognize the patterns in reasoning until they become second nature. Now, not everybody has the time to dedicate to studying full-time. So if you are studying for the exam on a part-time basis, it would probably be best to give yourself from 4 to 6 months to study for the exam. If you can study on a full-time basis, you might be able to study in just 3 to 4 months. Everyone's studying method, duration, and how long it takes for them to accumulate the skills for the exam is all different. In my next video, I will be discussing how to start studying for the LSAT, some resources that I used when I was studying, and sharing with you guys all my studying tips. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this video was informative. Please let me know if you have any questions down below, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss my future videos. Bye guys!